Amber's POV. Today was my 18th birthday, and it felt like I'd been waiting for it forever. For years, I'd been hidden away from the rest of the pack, a dirty little secret whose mere presence brought shame on my father, the alpha of the Scarlet Pack. Today was the first day I'd ever been seen in public. For so many years, I had lived here as a slave, my true identity kept from everyone. Then, out of the blue, my father told me he was going to hold a bar mitzvah for me and introduce me to the entire werewolf world. My wolf Ray and I had no idea why he was doing this. To be honest, I had a bad feeling. This wasn't going to be a simple bar mitzvah. I wasn't a child anymore. I didn't believe in fairy tales, but I couldn't resist. I wasn't the kind of daughter who could be capricious and disobey her father. I was just an unloved slave. I wasn't even allowed to see my real mother. She lay in a hospital bed, machines doing the work of her failing body. Whenever I didn't go along with my father's plans, he threatened me with her life, and I knew he wasn't kidding. He would pull out her oxygen tube without a second thought. The fucking arrogant prick, Ray raged in my head. How can he be so heartless, dangling our mother's life over us every time he wants something? There's not much we can do, Ray, I replied quietly, making my way toward my father where he stood with his wife and their other daughter. My stepmother and stepsister watched me with wry, sour smiles as I approached. I mean, there is, but you won't let me do anything about it. It wouldn't solve anything, Ray. We aren't strong enough to challenge him, and I need to see Mom again. If we can just get through tonight, there's a chance. Never had a chance, Ray scoffed. He's a sneaky bastard. He'll never keep his promises. Ray was right. My father hadn't promised me anything, but I still clung to the thought that maybe today could be the start of a change. If he admitted my existence to the pack, I might meet my mate. Maybe my mate could help me escape his prison. I have a feeling our mate will show up tonight, Ray breathed, excitement sparking through her. Amber, come here. My father's cold voice sliced through my thoughts. Every werewolf in the auditorium turned their gaze toward me. Heat hit my face. For a second, the room tilted. I wasn't used to being stared at by so many people. My father's gaze was like a whip, sharp enough to sting my spine. I went quickly and stood at his left. On his other side stood my stepsister and stepmother. I don't want to stand near her. She's a fucking embarrassment, my stepsister muttered to her mother, shooting me a filthy look. If you pretend she doesn't exist, it'll make tonight easier. I'm the alpha's daughter. She's nothing but a bitch, just like her mother. How can she stand with me? This is humiliating. She hissed the words, glaring, but one warning look from my father shut her up as I faced the crowd. My father cleared his throat and spoke with an alpha's authority. This is my other daughter, Amber. Today is her 18th birthday, and like me, I know you're all eager to see what level her wolf will be. We'll see the result before midnight, but one thing is already clear: she is beautiful, and I believe her beauty is a shared treasure of our pack. What did he mean? My beauty, a treasure for our pack? Was he planning to sell me to some powerful pack for resources? I knew he'd been bleeding money these past years, but this, he wasn't even hiding it. I clenched my fists. So this was why he'd brought me out tonight. Heat rose into my throat and my chest heaved. Bastard. That truth about my father had never changed. The crowd erupted in applause. My father didn't give them time for questions. He'd seen my eyes flash red. He knew if he pushed, I might slip his control. He stepped in to hug me. I dodged, revulsion spiking through me. His fingers tightened on my arm, the threat coming out low. If you cause any problems tonight or open your mouth to the wrong people, I won't arrange a visit to your mother. Do you understand? I nodded, Ray's anger rolling through me in waves. He must have felt her bristle. That goes for your bitch of a wolf as well, he murmured. If she steps out of line, I can suppress her, leave you all alone. You wouldn't want that, would you? His voice was mechanical, empty. I might have been standing with them, but we weren't a family. I was still a slave. I swallowed the swell of emotion, pasted on a calm smile, and let my eyes move over the crowd, anything to distract myself from the bitter sting under my skin. Amber, maybe we'll be lucky, Ray muttered, a sharp, dry edge to her tone. Maybe our mate will be here to save us from this pathetic existence. We could run, find Mom, take her somewhere safe. My expression stayed cold as people offered greetings. They were just like my father, bastards who'd accepted what he'd done to me without question. Then Ray went silent. A tremor of excitement rippled through her. She was suddenly on high alert, pacing hard inside my mind as the Omegas began filing into the ballroom, setting tables with platters that flooded the air with mouth-watering aromas. My gaze drifted over the workers and caught on one man, tall, wiry, a gentle, open face. He turned toward us, our eyes locked. The plate in his hands slipped and crashed to the floor. The breath left my lungs in a rush. My heart swelled until it hurt as Ray screamed in my head. "Mate!" For a heartbeat, I froze. "Mate, Amber, go to him." The sweet scent of him washed over me. I pushed through the crowd, ready to reach for him, but my name cracked through the hall like a command. "Amber!" My father's angry face filled my vision, his glare cutting me off from my mate. "Father." I swallowed hard, trying to explain, but a sneer curved his mouth. His grip bruised my arm as he turned to stare down the stunned Omega. Fear flicked through me. He would hurt him. I dragged up my courage. "Father, he's my—" "Mate," Father cut in, voice dripping mockery. "The moon goddess gave you this poor Omega as a mate?" Yes, she did. I wanted to shout it, but then I saw my mother's face, saw what he'd done to her because she was an Omega. The light in my eyes died. He would kill him. He would kill my mate. No, I wouldn't let that happen. No, he's not. I shook my head, trying to warn the man with my eyes. "Don't come closer. Please." He didn't understand. The mate pull was too strong. He rushed past my father, reaching for me. "Mate." "No." I tore my hand away. "I, Amber Jasper, daughter of the Alpha of the Scarlet Pack, reject." I didn't finish. My father shifted in a blur, and his claws ripped across my mate's neck. But blood burst hot and fast, splattering across my face. "No." I watched him crumple, eyes wide and terrified as he hit the floor. Amber's POV. My soul felt like it was slipping out of my body as darkness swallowed my vision. I couldn't move. How disgusting. This filthy Omega's blood has stained my latest designer dress. My stepsister's mocking voice cut through the haze, proof I wasn't dreaming. My father had actually driven his claws through my mate's throat. On the floor, my mate writhed in agony. Ray's furious, wounded snarl yanked me back. I shot my stepsister a look sharp enough to cut, and she shut up. "Listen, Amber, have you forgotten my words?" Father smirked, stepping in front of me, blocking me from reaching him. His grimy hand clamped onto my arm. A sick knot twisted in my gut and fire burned through my veins. Despite the pain, Ray took over. Claws burst from my hands, and I hurled Father aside. We bolted to our mate. "Please, no, you'll be fine." Ray licked his wounds, desperate to save him, but the blood came too fast, too dark. No one could survive a wound like that, not even the strongest alpha. Grief flooded us, thick and drowning. Hope faded, thread by thread. I couldn't lose my last chance to tell him what he meant to me. "Please, Ray, let me talk to him. I need him to know I didn't want this, didn't choose this, please." I sobbed in my head. Reluctantly, she yielded. The banquet hall fell deathly silent, except for father's warning growls. I shifted back and crouched over my mate. Tears streamed as I pressed both hands over the torn mess of his throat. Futile. I knew it was too deep, but I had to try. "I'm so sorry," I choked, pressing my forehead to his. "I never wanted this to happen. I want you. I want us. Please don't leave me." His crimson eyes found mine. His hand lifted, trembling, and fell against my wrist. "You," he gasped. I sobbed harder. "This is all because of you." My heart stopped. I blinked at him, stunned, Ray's mournful howl tearing through my head. "No, I tried as he weakly pushed at me, his gaze fading. "This is your fault," he whispered. "If I wasn't your mate, this would never have happened." "Please, don't say that. I'm sorry." My voice broke as his breaths thinned. I clutched him tighter as if I could hold his life in place with my arms alone. "I curse you," he rasped, anger burning through the haze in his eyes. "I, Eric Johnson, curse you with my life to never be happy, to be betrayed for all eternity." His eyes rolled. His hand slid from my chest. "No." The word tore out of me like a hissed scream. I couldn't breathe. Tears blinded me as I screamed into the hollow silence. Ray's grief howled with mine, raw, keening, until a voice sliced through it from behind. "Don't be a drama queen, Amber. He is nothing, was nothing. This is for the best." I looked back. Father's eyes were cold with disdain, as if this life meant less than dirt. "Why would you do this?" I growled, fury blazing hot as I rose beside my mate's body. I was already going to reject him. "Why are you killing people at will?" "Watch your language." Father inhaled sharply. "Have you forgotten that bitch? I told you only death will end accidents. I will never allow another Omega gene in my family. Ever." That bitch. He meant my mother. He'd hated me from the moment he learned she was a homeless Omega, a stain, according to him, on his precious Alpha bloodline. "Someone." He didn't wait for my reply. He snapped at the guards, "Take Amber away." Silence clamped over the room. No one dared speak. My stepmother and stepsister stood not far off, smiling. I must have looked like a clown to them. "Amber, I told you, he's an asshole. You can't trust anything he says," Ray yelled in my head. She was right. We couldn't trust him. Everything he said was a lie, a leash, a way to tighten control. He'd never respect me, never let me see my mother. "Ray, do you fear death?" My gaze burned scarlet as I fixed on the hypocritical bastard, his fingers still slick with blood. Ray didn't answer. Bones shifted, joints snapped and stretched. With a roar of rage, I lunged at him. My fangs sank into his arm. Blood flooded my mouth, hot, metallic. The taste stoked a savage heat. "Bitch, how dare you!" Father's rage exploded. A guttural snarl ripped from him. He shifted into a massive black wolf and flung me like I weighed nothing. I hit the wall, ribs cracked, blood sprayed from my mouth. "Someone, wolfsbane," a voice barked. A sting bit my neck, agony seared through me, fire racing my veins. I writhed on the floor, claws raking at my own skin. "Hopefully the wolfsbane will knock some sense into you, and if it doesn't, enjoy an indefinite stay in the dungeons until you learn to behave." He hissed it in my ear while I spasmed and clawed. He released my neck and stepped back, dragging in a breath, raking both hands through his hair. "My apologies," he announced, voice suddenly somber. "She's not well, mentally, as you can see. That's the only reason I never introduced her to you. She's simply too unstable." Consciousness blurred. Rough hands seized me. As the dark closed in, I swore no matter what he did to bury me, no matter how long it took, I would have my revenge. Amber's POV. 3 years later, in the cell. I curse you. I remember the night my mate died. Every detail burned into me. It replays again and again, their dying words chasing me through every hour. I thought about ending it. God, I did. But my mother was still out there, waiting. Even if I didn't know whether she was alive, until I heard it for certain, I wouldn't give up my life. My father only locked me up. He didn't kill me. That meant I still had value to him. As long as he demanded obedience, he wouldn't let my mother perish. I wasn't just thrown into a dungeon and forgotten. For 3 years, I've been kept in solitary with only the stone-faced guards for company and the men my stepmother sent to take the last thing I had left, the one thing she couldn't control. She and her darling daughter tried to grind me down, to turn me into a whore. They failed. Every time. I sent each one of their dogs back with broken noses and bruised pride. They didn't stop. She called them weak and sent more. She knew I was a threat. She knew that once my father saw what I truly was, she and her wretched girl would be cast aside. This morning something was different. Chains bit into my wrists, high on the wall now. A fog dulled my thoughts and my limbs felt heavy, slow, poisoned maybe. I fought to lift my head and force the haze back inch by inch. The door scraped open. A man lurched inside, a crooked grin cutting across his face. I stared back, chin up, defiant. His scent hit me, stronger than any werewolf I'd faced before. Different. I heard the ones before me didn't get the job done, he purred, stepping closer with that dangerous smile. But 3 years ago, I saw you in the crowd, perfect. Every wet dream since then? You? So, here I am. I'm really looking forward to our encounter. How about you? Disgust. That was it. I smiled and spat in his face, baiting him. If he lost control, I'd find a way to kill him. His hand clamped around my chin, fingers digging in. Darling, keep up the rebellion and we'll miss the unforgettable foreplay, he crooned. Before you dry up like a desert, I doubt you can handle my size, or do you prefer it direct? Well then, show me what you've got, and I'll see if it's as impressive as you claim, I sneered, flicking my gaze to his crotch. Humiliation wasn't going to break me. Not anymore. Since that night 3 years ago, I've lived for one thing: escape and revenge on my father. He blinked, wiped my spit from his face, and barked out a laugh, shaking his head. I'm going to make you regret that, he snarled as he crowded over me and unbuttoned his trousers, the pathetic press of him nudging against my thigh. Not much to work with, is it? I murmured, voice low and mocking. Don't make promises you've got no hope of keeping. He growled and yanked the chains tighter, wrenching my arms back until my shoulders screamed. I refused to cry out. I just smiled, sharp and mean. Don't make this harder than it has to be. Just this once. Be fucking nice, he hissed, smashing his mouth to mine, shoving his tongue between my lips. Maybe I shouldn't have done what I did next, but I let him in. I opened wider, softening beneath him, lulling him into stupid, eager confidence. He moaned, hips grinding against my thigh as his hands pushed under my t-shirt dress. Panic kicked my heart into a sprint as he shifted, wedging himself between my legs, forcing them wider while he deepened the kiss. He meant to finish this, and even as feeling crept back into my legs, I wouldn't move him fast enough. Now or never. He leaned in, closer. I bit down, hard. Flesh tore between my teeth. His confusion snapped into terror. He yanked, scrambling to pull free, but I clamped harder until my teeth met and he ripped loose, tumbling off the cot. He hit the floor, clutching his mouth, howling. I spat the clotted hunk of his tongue at him and wiped my lips with the back of my hand. If I had teeth down there too, I rasped, fighting the bile rising at the metallic taste, you'd be bleeding where it hurts most, right at your feet. His screams filled the cell, echoing off stone. The guards would come. They always did. They'd swing their justice with their fists. Until then, I savored every sound, a small piece of justice torn out by my own teeth. I could already imagine my stepmother's rage when this failed again. A figure filled the doorway. I squinted through the hazy light and snorted. "Took you long enough, didn't it? He'll bleed out if you don't get him help." I smiled, sweet as poison, letting them see the blood smear down my chin and neck. Let the sight haunt them. "Well, I can't say I'm surprised your behavior remains that of a feral savage," a voice said, familiar in a way that made my skin crawl. "Your stepmother told me you'd descended into madness. I hadn't quite believed her." "If defending myself against rape is madness, then you're the one who's insane," I spat. He tutted and didn't bother to answer. A flick of his hand and the guards moved in, unhooking the chains. My arms dropped, trembling. I sat up, blinked against the blur, and saw him clearly. My father. "As of today, I absolve you of your sins," he said, voice rough. My body leaned toward him before my mind caught up, trying to read his face to make sense of the words. What was he trying to do again? Amber's POV. Leaving the dingy dungeon corridors, I stepped into daylight, my eyes squeezed shut on instinct, hands flying up to shield them from the glare. After so long in darkness, the sun's warmth was a relief on my pasty skin, but the light stabbed at my eyes almost painfully bright. As I took a deep breath, something shifted inside me. I felt Ray stir, her first awareness in 3 years since our mate died. "Ray?" I froze, afraid I was imagining it. "Amber, it's me. I'm back." Her voice was soft at first, then steady. Suddenly, even the sun felt warmer. My father clicked his tongue in disapproval at our reaction to being outside after so long. I refused to give him the satisfaction of a response. I followed in silence, one hand still shading my eyes, glancing sideways to see if anything on the pack lands had changed on the walk from the cells back to the pack house. No one waited at the door. No Omegas lined up, no forced welcome, just the echo of our footsteps in a house heavy with painful memories. "The Omegas will get you cleaned up. Don't fight them. Just do as you're told," he said as we stopped outside my old bedroom. I nodded and waited. He only gestured impatiently at the doorway. "You can go inside and wait. Someone will be in shortly too." He trailed off, wrinkling his nose as his gaze dragged over me. I had nothing meaningful to say. I slipped past him into my room and shut the door without a backward glance. A long breath left me as I took in the familiar space. Everything was exactly as I'd left it. I moved slowly, a grim nostalgia tightening my chest, and stopped in front of the mirror just as I had on that night 3 years ago. The sight of myself made my stomach drop. My once vibrant skin held no color. Dull, flaky, lifeless, a perfect match for the dead look in my eyes. I barely recognized the woman staring back. If I weren't so numb, I might have broken. Ray whimpered in my head. "You'll get back to your old self in no time, Amber, and when we do, we'll run far from here and start a new life." I let out a cold laugh. "I will never return to that naivety, Ray. They robbed me of it. I don't want to go back either. I want to be strong, find my mother, and take her away." Ray's approval rolled through me in a fierce howl. I smiled at my reflection, a macabre curve of lips. Just as the Omega staff walked in without knocking, their eyes widened. "Of course," I murmured to Ray, bitter amusement scratching my throat. "I should have guessed." Ray growled. "I haven't forgotten the abuse we suffered. I'll use every ounce of strength to make the assholes who hurt us pay." Her teeth bared. I held her back. "Not like before. We won't be as reckless as we were 3 years ago." "We have to bide our time," I said. Reluctantly, Ray agreed. The Omegas recovered from their shock and got to work. For once, they kept quiet. Without my stepmother or stepsister hovering, the silence was startling and, honestly, a relief. Better quiet than their insults or meaningless chatter I had to grit my teeth through. They finished quickly. They dressed me in a gown my stepmother had chosen, then led me to the smaller dining room reserved for the Alpha and his family. Just before we reached it, I noticed a cluster of Omegas gathered outside one of the drawing rooms. Another hurried past carrying a white wedding dress. I frowned. Had my stepsister found her mate? If so, maybe that was why I'd been brought back. The thought made me a little happy. If I had to live here again, better without her around. That flicker of satisfaction put a smile on my face as I pushed open the dining room doors. My stepmother and stepsister looked up, expectant, gleeful, and their faces lit with cruel delight at how much I'd diminished. Ray surged, hot and sharp, begging to be unleashed. Not now, I warned. Not yet. I sat quietly while the Omegas served the main courses, listening to the pathetic excuse for a family drone on. Nothing of importance, just small talk and gossip between the two women who had made my life hell while my father sat silent, gaze fixed on me. I ate without a word. When the plates were cleared, my stepmother turned to me with a bright, false smile. It's so wonderful to have you back home, Amber, and on such an exciting occasion, too. I bet you're simply thrilled with the news, aren't you? I lifted my head and met her gaze cold, unflinching. Only a fool would miss the hatred radiating off me. Her smile faltered, fear flickered, quick and thin, before she turned to my father and clutched his arm. You have told her, haven't you, dear? She asked, all innocence. Not yet, no, he said. She clicked her tongue. Well, don't delay the good news. I'm sure she'll be thrilled to know you found a suitable husband for her after all that unpleasantness with her mate. It's a new lease of life for her. Husband? So it's me who's getting married. Amber's POV. What is she talking about? I asked, my voice edged with something dangerous. Don't worry, Amber. Daddy found the perfect match for you. My stepsister clapped, giddy with herself. You should be happy he went out of his way to find such a good match for you, especially after your public disgrace. I scoffed, fury spiking. Are you for fucking real right now? My father's face darkened, but I didn't slow. You locked me in a dungeon for 3 years, left me to the guards your bitch of a wife personally handpicked to punish me, and now you pull me out just to marry me off to goddess knows who? Ray's rage built faster than mine, a hot, surging tide. It took everything in me not to let her seize control and tear into these two conniving little bitches who'd pulled the strings from the shadows. Your sister is right, my father roared. After what you did at your bar mitzvah, it's been long enough. If it weren't for your madness 3 years ago, I wouldn't have had to spend time covering it up. Otherwise, you wouldn't be suffering in the dungeon. Sounds like I should thank you for your kindness, I shot back, venom sweet on my tongue. Thank you for not treating me like a whore and giving me away to another pack 3 years ago. Ray paced in my head, claws scraping. My teeth chattered. Just the mention, just that memory, and I was back at that bloody birthday party, my partner dying in my arms, screaming without sound. I dug my nails into my palms, focusing on the sting until the tremor eased. Amber? My father's eyes went darker, colder. I hope 3 years in prison taught you this. I am your father, but more than that, your alpha. No one disobeys an alpha. Do you understand? He cut a piece of steak from the bowl with clean, surgical precision as if he were slicing through my neck. Amber, don't be so ungrateful. My stepsister's eyes gleamed with malice. The man Dad chose is the most powerful alpha in the East, and he's very experienced. She leaned in, whispering like it was a gift. I've heard he's had 6 brides. You'll be the 7th. 7th? I spun on my father. So instead of letting me live with my true mate in peace, you'll happily marry me off to someone who goes through women at the same rate your fucking wife spreads her legs for favors? That's enough, Amber, my father barked. That's nowhere near enough, father, and believe me, I'm only just getting started, I hissed. Amber, don't be so pessimistic, my stepsister snorted. Your beauty might even make that cruel, ugly alpha have mercy on you. Do you see? My stepmother raged at him. Even pushing you to this state, this vile little bitch is satisfied with that. Enough! All of you! My father's roar shook the room, his fangs lengthening as his wolf surged forward. I'll admit it, I was impressed. He'd finally cracked. And not because of me. The ghostly pallor washing over my stepmother's face, the tremble in her hands, told me no one had ever spoken to her like that. It gave me a small, sharp thrill of triumph. Whether you like it or not, Amber, this marriage is arranged. As your father and Alpha, you will obey me. His voice came quiet and deadly. This arrangement is your chance to repay us for all the years we took care of you and your mother. He sneered. Your sister cannot marry him. Unlike you, she has pure alpha blood. My bloodline must remain pure in at least one branch of my offspring. Taken care of? I laughed, empty and stunned. I've been treated like a slave since I got here. What else do I owe you? I took a breath and forced a brittle smile. Actually, I came to tell you I'm taking my mother with me. I'll find a way to pay you back for the medical bills. My father studied me coolly, a sly smile curling his lips. Take her? He snapped his fingers at one of the men by the wall and gestured toward the television. How about I let you see her first? The screen flickered to life. My mother lay in a hospital bed, pale and still, machines tracking each fragile breath. Mom, I stepped closer, swallowing down a sob. The sight of her split me open. She looked so small, tubes threaded into her arms and mouth. The ventilator hissed, her chest rising and falling with borrowed air. The sound crawled beneath my skin. I lifted a shaking hand to the screen, pressing my palm to her face. Her image, like touching glass, could bridge the years. The first time I'd seen her in so long, and it broke me. As you can see, she could die at any moment. My father's cold voice cut from behind me. He plucked his phone off the table and dialed, giving me a smug little smile. A cold weight rolled into my gut. Amber, Ray's voice spiked with panic. No, he wouldn't, I whispered, but I didn't believe myself. With every word of his, fear tightened around my ribs. Take her breathing tube out, my father said into the phone, casual as ordering wine. No, I screamed, whipping back to the monitor as a doctor entered the frame and began detaching wires and tubes. I didn't mean to be cruel, Amber, my father said, as if we were discussing the weather. Her care is expensive. The PAC's businesses are out of money. I asked you to marry to save your mother. This alliance will open the finances, bring in fresh capital, and give us access to his partners for new ventures. His voice sounded almost concerned, almost. He'd always been the same evil bastard. Power above all. Empire first. He'd sacrifice anyone, anything to get what he wanted. Even his fated mate. Even his daughter. He would never admit he'd caused my mother's body to fail, little by little, year by year. He chose to reject her, his destined mate, and take a chosen partner who expanded his power base by marrying the only child of another powerful alpha. When that alpha died, his pack would be absorbed into my father's, tripling his territory and doubling his numbers. Because of him, my mother was dying, and the only reason he kept her alive now was leverage over me and because her death would weaken him. I'm not going to force you, Amber. It's your choice. He smirked. Your mother's life, or your rejection of this marriage. There it was again, that trick, pretending I had a choice when he already knew my answer. I'll fucking kill him, Ray roared inside me, and I fought her back with everything I had, holding the shift at bay. We had no choice left. I would not trade my mother's life for my own desires, no matter how much it gutted me to bend to him. Listen, Amber, he coaxed, sensing my resolve falter. All you have to do is marry the man. What you do after that is up to you. This alliance benefits the pack and our family. If you won't do it for our name, then do it for the pack members who depend on us. If you agree, I'll make sure your mother is cared for the rest of her life." My eyes narrowed. Ray surged forward, eyes blazing through mine, letting him feel our fury. "If I do this, you better make damn sure you take care of her," I hissed, my voice braiding with Ray's low growl. "If you renege on our deal, if I hear she's suffered even a scratch, I will come back here and take my revenge, even if it's the last thing I ever do." Ryan's POV. I was in total darkness. In the distance, two men ride together, one of them my father. I ran shouting, but no matter how hard I pushed, I couldn't reach them. "Father," I cried. He only turned his head from the floor, offered me a half smile as the man straddling him lifted his arm and drove his claws straight through my father's chest. Blood sprayed. "No!" I jolted awake, chest heaving, the nightmare's claws still in me. I scanned the room in confusion, my office dim and silent. Right. I'd fallen asleep at my desk. The same memories had hunted me down again. I exhaled long and slow, rubbing my face, forcing my heart to settle in the comforting quiet. That's why I worked so damn hard to outrun this feeling, to sleep as little as possible. The less I slept, the fewer chances these dreams had to crush me, and every hour I poured into strengthening my pack brought me one step closer to revenge. Bing! The message tone ricocheted off the bare walls, snapping me out of the dark. I grabbed my phone and scowled at the screen, then smiled as the message lit up. "Alpha, we've picked up Luke's daughter and will be returning soon." A grin split my face. I laughed, sharp, triumphant. I'd waited for this day for what felt like an eternity. Years of pain, of patience, and finally the perfect moment had arrived as if conjured. I would have my revenge on the man who destroyed my family, and I'd start by taking what he treasured most. I'd kept eyes on him and his little pack for years. Bit by bit, news of the Scarlet Pack's Alpha trickled in, business rumors, family whispers. One of his flagship companies was tipping toward bankruptcy. The rot ran deeper than that. He had a daughter, spoiled rotten from what I'd gathered, showered with so much indulgence she'd turned cruel. Lesser-ranked wolves said she loved to look down on them, to shame them for sport. As far as I was concerned, she was cut from the same cloth as the bastard who murdered my father, shaping up to be his mirror image. With that, her role in my plan was set. What better revenge than to seduce her, and then make him watch as she withered under my hand? I wanted him to see every inch of her pain. I needed him to learn what it meant to lose the one thing that meant the world. Everything was moving as planned. The arrogant fool had accepted a marriage to cement an alliance between our packs, and my beta would be here any minute with the entitled little bitch in his car. She'd expect the easy life her father gave her. She was in for a rude awakening. I snorted, disgust twisting my mouth, and headed for the front of the house to wait, pulse thudding with anticipation. The car rolled to a stop. The back door opened. Then, my world tilted. A scent hit me rich, impossible, stealing the breath from my lungs. The woman stepped out. Her eyes met mine. My wolf howled with joy. I lurched toward her, stumbling, praying, please, let this be some Omega, anyone but the woman I planned to destroy, and then I saw the truth. No one else stood there. I couldn't hold back. I seized her by the arms. Heat flooded my palms, her skin soft beneath my fingers. The urge to claim her roared through me. I inhaled, helpless. My wolf surged forward, possessive, and our eyes locked as he spoke through me. "Mate!" My stomach dropped. Disgust washed over me as I fought my wolf for control. This couldn't be fucking happening. Amber's POV. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Ray surged forward, echoing the same word the towering man had just spoken. Mate. Her excitement rushed through me. I wanted to turn away, to run, but my body betrayed me. I stood there, blinking up at him like an idiot. Behave yourself, Ray, I snapped, breath tight. There's no way this is our mate. You have to be mistaken. No, he is ours as much as we are his, Ray argued, sharp and eager. Why aren't you excited? I thought we'd never be happy again, and here he is, our second chance. That's not possible, Ray. We were cursed by our true mate. This is just a fantasy. Anyone bonded to us will betray us. You know this. No, you're wrong, Amber, she whined, wounded and stubborn. This was a contract arranged by my father for his own gain. There was no way he'd accidentally handed me a second chance mate. No, this had to be a ploy, his or his twisted wife and daughters, to make an even bigger fool of me. I scoffed inwardly, keeping my face calm. Still, as I stared up at the man's rugged features, a small, treacherous part of me wavered. The pull was there, faint but real. It didn't last. His expression darkened. His eyes went wild. His hands closed around my throat, fingers digging in, cutting off my breath. No, what are you doing? Let go. I tried to shout, but it came out a ragged wheeze. I clawed at his wrists as the pressure climbed. My lungs burned, dragging for air that wouldn't come. This can't be fucking happening. Not you. I refuse to accept it, he hissed. Panic flared white-hot. Ray shoved strength into my limbs, bewildered, furious, as we fought to pry him off. How can I be mated to you of all people? This was supposed to be an arrangement. What fucking sort of witchcraft is this? Is it a trick? Did you have some enchantment cast? Answer me. A blur of motion. His beta slammed in, wrenching him back, breaking his grip. My knees gave out. I crumpled, hands wrapped around my throat, gulping cool air as Ray's confusion stabbed through me. I forced my gaze up to him. Gone was the stunned bewilderment I'd glimpsed before his rage. In its place, pure hatred, disgust. His beta dragged him toward the doors of my new home as he kept shouting, spitting nothing but contempt. Alpha, calm down. You can't behave like this in public, the beta urged, calling for help as others rushed in. Don't fucking dream about it. I will never accept you, bitch. You deserve nothing more than the lowest slave, he roared. Ray's heart cracked again. I felt it break inside me. I covered my neck, skin stinging from the force of his power, and trembled. His actions, his words, the look in his eyes, he hated me, maybe even wanted me dead. But why? We'd only just met. I couldn't make sense of it. Amber, it must be the curse. We really are cursed, Ray whispered, sobbing. For one foolish second, I'd let myself hope for a new life. I'd forgotten. I wasn't meant for happiness. I would live under this curse, unloved, unseen, forever. Amber's POV. I sat in the humble room, nerves frayed, waiting for whatever came next. One prison to another, that's all my life seemed to be. My father's disgust had always cut deep, but Ryan's eyes, cold, hateful, felt like a devil lurking in the dark. He really wanted to kill me. I heard he had 6 brides. You'll be the 7th. My stepsister's vicious sneer echoed in my head. It all made a terrible kind of sense. People whispered that Alpha Ryan had a taste for killing his wives, that all 6 before me had died. That's why my father and stepmother sent me here, for money, to this hell. Amber, we are his mate. We're different from the previous 6 she-wolves. Ray whimpered in my mind, her voice raw. Even after what he'd already done, she clung to that thread. Fear pressed down on me until I could barely breathe. I didn't have the strength to comfort her. I curled up on the floor and thought of my mother. If I died here, would my father even bother to take care of her? Amber, if our mate didn't kill us immediately, that means there's still a chance. We should stand up and find him and ask. Nolia insisted. Yes, I can't die. I wasn't destroyed by my stepmother, and I survived one bastard after another in my father's dungeon. My fate won't end here. It won't. Footsteps pounded down the corridor, fast, angry. The doors flew open. Ryan stormed in, agitation rolling off him in waves. I shot to my feet, trying to smooth the panic from my face. Is everything all right? I asked. Stupid, I know, but I needed to know what I'd done to set him off. He didn't answer. He paced back and forth, gaze cutting like a blade. The sheer force of him pushed my eyes to the floor. I decided not to provoke him. Head down, quiet, let him lead. I already knew he wasn't the monster people painted him to be on the outside. In truth, he was the most handsome man I'd ever seen. Tall, hard-muscled, the way most alphas were, and that sun-bronzed skin said he spent his days with his men, not hiding in an office. Ray's desire crashed through me, hot, undeniable. The longer I watched him, the worse it got. You know, if he's this intense and unpredictable in bed, we're in for a lot of fun, Ray purred, basking in the scent of him. Are you serious? He wants to treat us like a slave, and he tried to choke us. I snapped back. Some people enjoy that, maybe we would too. His hands on our skin and at our throat, eyes locked as he takes us. Ray, that's enough. I bit my lip to cork the sound rising in my throat as heat bloomed under my skin and my mind filled with wicked images, his body over mine, driving me wild, stealing my breath. One after another, the pictures spilled in, shameless. Damn it. A tiny sound slipped out anyway, a hint of a moan. I slammed the door on Ray's influence, cutting her off hard. Annoyance burned at my own body's betrayal as a hot ache gathered low in my belly. Moments ago, he'd told me in no uncertain terms that he would enslave me, and here I was, full of filthy thoughts and trembling like a fool. Ryan's head snapped toward me, and a heartbeat, he was right there. His fingers clamped around my chin, forcing my face up as he inhaled deep. The pull of the bond hit me like a punch. My body trembled, begging for what it had been promised. He sneered instead, then shoved my head aside. I stumbled and hit the floor hard. Don't have illusions, he growled. I will never accept you as my mate. I will never mark you. I will never claim you. Relief pricked my eyes. No tie for life, good. But the whimper that escaped me made his mouth curl in disgust. I don't think you can worm your way into my good graces by trying to seduce me and spreading your legs, he hissed. I have no interest in sleeping with someone like you, no matter what my wolf wants. I pushed myself up, swaying, my legs still weak after weeks in my father's dungeon. I met his gaze. That's for the best, isn't it? At least I won't have to endure some filthy bastard rotting around inside me. My stepsister's words flashed like poison, 6 brides before me. Maybe the others died from what he carried. Rejected by my mate again, but at least I wouldn't be forced open for him. That felt like its own kind of freedom. Silence fell thick, sharp. He hissed, low and deadly. He could slit my throat in a heartbeat if he wanted. He didn't. Instead, a stack of papers slapped my face. The edge nicked my cheek. I stood still, breathing slow, and waited. So you're not a delicate hothouse flower after all, he sneered. Ready to accept your destiny, are you? Good. On the floor is an agreement. As it states, you have no right to call yourself Luna. You are a slave of this pack. You'll do what a slave does. I will not pay for anything you need. If you dare call yourself my Luna in public, I will snap your neck. His rules didn't scare me. I'd already prepared myself. After my father, why would I expect roses? I picked up the document, scanned it, and signed my name. Don't think pretending to be obedient will change anything. Don't think you can play tricks, or your father's hope dies with you, Alpha Ryan warned. He thought too highly of me. Tricks? Where would I even go? I bowed my head. I understand, I said softly. He grunted, contempt heavy, and turned on his heel. Ray couldn't accept it. She whispered and whispered, fraying at the edges. Amber, what are we going to do? What do we do next? After so many years, I still didn't understand how she hadn't adapted. But she was sensitive now, raw. I couldn't dig up the past and cut her deeper. So I kept my voice light. Next, sleep. I've met monsters and bullies, but no one has stolen my right to sleep. Night is the only time my dreams are left alone. Cold water crashed over me, ripping me out of the dark. Pa. Curses followed the drench, sharp as the chill. Get up, bitch. Amber's puffed. It seems our Luna hasn't adapted to her new role yet, has she? A mocking voice purred. So it's our duty to reinforce her memory, another voice chimed in, just as derisive. I jolted awake with a gasp. An icy splash crawled down my face and into my collar. Ray, my wolf, and I panicked for a heartbeat as sleep burned away. Then we realized the sheets and mattress beneath us were soaked. Before I could piece it together, a woman with a squirrel-like face leaned into my view. Her nose wrinkled in disgust as she looked me over. You won't be lounging all day now that you're here, she sneered. It's 7 already. Work started hours ago for the rest of us. Get up, you're late. I blinked up at her, weighing whether to let Ray answer. In the end, I didn't. Ryan had made it clear he intended to make my life difficult here. Out of spite, I'd already decided I'd meet whatever he threw at me with grace and elegance, qualities both he and my father sorely lacked. He hadn't laid hands on me, and I was grateful for that. But he underestimated me. I was stronger than either of them believed. All that mattered was keeping my mother alive, so I'd play the part required of me. Stop dithering, the woman snapped as I pulled on leggings and a plain tunic. The Alpha King has arrived, entirely unannounced, and we need every hand in the kitchen to prepare food for his entourage. I wasn't told to be ready at any particular time, I said, unruffled. If Alpha Ryan thought such petty tactics would make me submit, he was in for disappointment. How dare you talk back? Do you really think you're our Luna? The squirrel-faced woman swung a hand for my cheek. I slipped aside and kicked her shin, sharp, controlled. She yelped. Her companion lunged to help, but a male werewolf in a butler's black and white stepped in with a cold glare. This is not playtime. If dinner isn't ready before the Alpha King arrives, I believe Alpha Ryan would be delighted to chop off your heads and serve them as the main course. The two Omegas shot me a hateful look and slunk out behind him. I quickened my pace. The Alpha King arriving unannounced, it spoke volumes about the Crown Pack's power. His visits were an honor. The Scarlet Pack had never been graced with one. In the bustling kitchen, heat and noise wrapped around me. Clattering pans, the hiss of oil, the bright bite of citrus in the air. The butler's face darkened as an Omega whispered in his ear. His brows knitted and he lifted a hand. Stop, all of you. The room fell still. Our head chef has been attacked by rogues, he said. Now is not the time to discuss it. Which of you has experience in a large-scale restaurant? What? Chatter flared, panic rising. I had experience, years at the Omega's restaurant in the Scarlet Pack. I'd been their head chef. The menu I built had brought in record profits. I hesitated, just a breath. Then someone shoved me from behind. I stumbled into the butler's line of sight. So, he asked, cool gaze on me, are you confident you can do this without mistakes? I glanced over my shoulder at the shameless Omega who'd pushed me. She wanted me to fall on my face, but if I proved my worth here, maybe I'd find a faster way out. I nodded. The butler didn't have a better option, and he knew it. He turned to the room. "You'll follow her instructions." I stepped into the role like sliding into a well-worn apron. I loved this, truly. Cooking had been my escape when I was a child, a way to forget the pain of beatings. I could still feel the gentle hands of the old Omega who'd taken me under her wing, fussing like a mother hen. We moved fast. I called orders, knives sang, sauces reduced to a glossy sheen, herbs bloomed under heat. Plate by plate, the service came together. When I finished the set assigned to me, one of the chefs came over to taste, making sure I wouldn't poison anyone or ruin their reputation. Her eyes widened on the first bite. She tried another mouthful, then another, shooting me a puzzled, wary look. Within seconds, she pulled a second chef over to taste as well. The other Omegas hovered, whispering, waiting for me to fail. The second chef took a bite and gasped, staring at me as if I'd sprouted a crown. "How can someone like you cook like this?" she murmured, squinting at me as though a different answer might appear if she looked hard enough. "I've spent years in the kitchen with the Omegas at the Scarlet Pack," I said, shrugging. "I enjoy it." The murmurs rippled, shifting. They'd expected me to be like my spoiled stepsister. And suddenly it occurred to me, maybe that's why I'd been sent to marry Ryan. Maybe my father knew what lay ahead for his precious daughter, so I'd been sent in her place. Ray laughed bitterly in my head. Neither of us was surprised. Ryan's beta strode into the kitchen. His brows snapped together when he saw me, but he didn't have time to start anything. The Alpha King had arrived. He snapped orders to serve the dishes. I sent a silent prayer into the heat and steam. Please let the king be pleased. Ryan's POV. The king and his queen arrived without warning. No notice, no courtesy. Why? Inspecting my management? Testing me? I hate surprises the way I never once thought of my contract Luna as a true partner. That makes me anxious. I'd intended to torture and kill my father's alpha daughter. Then the bond snapped into place. She's my mate. Kill my mate? My wolf snarled in my skull, furious. The pain of a broken bond can shatter a werewolf, so I sent her to the kitchens. Keep her away from me. Keep her with the Omegas of the pack. I've heard rumors of her cruelty to Omegas. If I find proof, I'll have my reason to end her. Ryan. Alpha, my beta's voice tightened over the mind link. I looked up. King Andrew was watching me. Damn it. That woman was already under my skin. Yes, King, I said quickly, meeting his gaze. My apologies. I was only wondering if these dishes would suit your majesty and the Luna, since you didn't inform me in advance. The king laughed. Forgive the haste. We were hunting nearby. I heard you found your mate and I wished to meet her. My spoon slipped and clattered onto the table. How do I explain my Luna being sent to the kitchen? King Andrew believes every werewolf should cherish their mate. If he learns I've been less than considerate, he'll dock me hard. Damn it. Alpha, the queen said, dabbing her lips with a napkin, I must say, these dishes are exquisite. I had no idea you had such a talented chef under your roof. Thank you, Your Grace. It's a simple meal, I said, hoping he'd drop his desire to see Amber. Simple? The king chuckled. Hardly. This is extraordinary. You must allow me to meet your chef and thank them in person. Perfect. He wanted the kitchen, not my Luna. I glanced at my beta. He stared back, helpless. Alpha, he blurted, voice low but audible. Today's chef is your Luna, Amber. What? The spoiled Alpha's daughter, cook like this? What am I missing? My wolf bared his teeth at me. While I wrestled for an excuse, any excuse, Amber appeared at my side, dressed perfectly for the occasion, light catching in her hair. I'm so sorry I'm late, she said, offering the table an apologetic smile. I stared, struggling to hide my shock. She didn't look like she'd been sweating over a hotline under pressure, not a hair out of place. My wolf howled with delight as she leaned in and kissed my cheek. I caught her wrist under the table, fingers tightening, and met her eyes. "Don't make things difficult for me," I warned under my breath. "You won't like the consequences." She only smiled and cupped my jaw, soft as if I'd just handed her my heart. "She's so close. She isn't about to kiss me, is she? If she touches me with that stinking mouth, I'll break her neck in front of everyone." "You're obviously looking forward to it," my wolf rumbled. "Shut the fuck up," I roared out loud. "Ryan, what did you say?" King Andrew's voice cut in, his brow knitting. "Shit, I'm losing my grip over this woman again." Amber's POV. "Oh, it's nothing, Your Majesty. It's my wolf." Ryan blinked rapidly, fumbling for an explanation to the king. "So he does get rattled. Huh." That was funny. But the king cut in before he could finish. "I get it. Wolves often lose their cool when we face a mate. It's just nature. Bear with us for now. You can do whatever you want when we're gone." He even wore a wry smile. Blunt. I got the message, but he was overthinking it, as if Ryan would ever be interested in me. I kept my smile in place and lifted my eyes to meet the curious gaze of the Alpha King and his wife. "Ryan, you really can't stay away from your new wife for a second," he teased, brows knitting. "I thought you were going to fetch the chef so I could tell them what a wonderful job they did." Ryan opened his mouth to reply, so I didn't let him. "Actually, Your Majesty, you're meeting the chef," I said, raising my chin as I met both their eyes. "I wanted to make sure you ate only the finest food, as you both deserve, so I saw to it myself. I can't offer much, but if there's one thing I know how to do well, it's preparing good food." The Alpha King clapped in delight, glancing between Ryan and me, remarkable, considering he rarely spared Lunas more than a polite nod. Most of the ones he met were insipid. Great at social schedules and matching fake smiles, nothing else. But I had what they didn't, a skill most people treated as beneath them. And I saw it in his eyes. He'd noticed. From now on, he'd pay attention to what I could do. "Well, I must say, Ryan, you've been gifted with an extraordinary pairing. Is this really Alpha Luke's daughter?" He chuckled and slapped the table. "She's certainly not what I was expecting." I felt tension rolling off Luke in waves as he seethed silently. Thankfully, the king and his wife were oblivious. Their attention stayed on me. "Well, clearly, Luke has done an outstanding job of raising you and encouraging you to take up a hobby to pass the time," King Andrew laughed. My smile froze. I wanted to scream that my bastard father had done nothing to nurture me, that he'd enslaved me with the constant threat of my mother's death if I didn't obey, stealing the childhood every child deserves. Instead, I let my smile soften and shook my head lightly. "My apologies, Your Highness, but the credit doesn't lie with my father. It lies with Ryan," I said warmly. I let my hand fall to Ryan's arm, patting it, just a touch intimate. If it wasn't for his encouragement, I wouldn't be where I am now. He's been generous with me, indulgent of my whims since I arrived. I swallowed a laugh as I caught Ryan's stunned expression. If Luke thought he'd claim credit for the parts of me that mattered, he was delusional. I'd rather Ryan take it and see I am nothing like my father. Ryan's POV. The sinking feeling I'd had when Amber cut me off dissolved into shock as I watched her play the room. I'd been sure a few hours in the kitchen would humble her. Instead, she wasn't fazed at all. Either the rumors about Alpha Luke's daughter were exaggerated, or Amber deserved an acting award. I made a mental note to check in with the Omegas who worked with her, first-hand accounts. "Well, I was surprised when I heard you'd agreed to marry Luke's daughter, Ryan," Alpha King Andrew said, casting a shrewd look her way. "But seeing you both working so well in your roles puts my heart at ease. You've acquired a capable Luna. I hope you intend to treat her well." course, Your Highness, I said with a forced laugh, shifting in my chair. She wasn't stupid. So why go out of her way to make me look good when she had to know I'd been making things harder for her? Actually, while we're on capable alphas, I've been thinking, Andrew announced, reaching for his glass. The undeveloped land around the blood pack is still unallocated. Since you finally have a Luna at your side, I think you'd be the perfect fit to take over management. He grinned broadly at me. His wife's eyes went wide. Forgive me, my love, but doing this so quickly, it's simply not possible, Kelly said, soothing him with a hand along his arm. There needs to be a formal statement from the land office conferring ownership. Alpha Ryan will have to accept, properly. My gaze slid to the Luna Queen. She wouldn't approve. There were rumors, whispers that some wolves thought I'd make a better heir to Estella than her son. Of course she'd try to block me from gaining more power. Arguing with the queen at the table would be pointless. Besides, I respect my king. He's ruled well. I want to support him, not replace him. I inclined my head. I agree with your Luna, Your Majesty. It's a great honor that you'd even consider me, but I'm sure others are more worthy. But I believe no one is more suitable than you, the Alpha King persisted. My love, be considerate of Alpha Ryan, Luna Queen Kelly murmured, all thoughtful grace. He has just found his mate. Let them have a perfect wedding first, then continue your plans. The king turned to me, apologetic, then back to his mate with a softened smile. My love, you always have everyone's best interests at heart. I really can't live without you. A wedding? The word snapped tight in my chest. I tightened my grip on Amber's hand. Was this her plan all along? I glanced at her. She only smiled back. There will never be a wedding. Not in my plans. How could I have a wedding with a slave? Amber, ever sweet, tipped her head to the king. We haven't made many preparations yet, Your Majesty. We all know how big this wedding will be since Ryan made such a grand show of waiting for his true mate. There's a lot to prepare, considering how dazzling he wants it to be. Aha, of course. You sly dog? Alpha King Andrew laughed. He clapped my shoulder warmly, and I laughed along, awkward. You know how to treat your mate. Good man, but don't keep her waiting too long. Women love all that pomp and ceremony and the outfits that come with it. He smiled fondly at his wife. She leaned in and kissed him, tender. I turned to Amber as if to mirror the gesture, but there was no fondness in my eyes. This woman, damn her. Cunning. Once again, she used the Alpha King's presence to get what she wanted. You know, why don't we have our royal event planners take over the hard work? King Andrew beamed. It'll free up your time, and I promise you won't be disappointed. Oh, that's a wonderful idea, Luna Kelly agreed. They're the best in the world, only used by the royal family. Please accept this as our gift. I think I'd like to officiate your wedding too. We'll be your witnesses. You're a promising power couple. Who wouldn't want to be there? Andrew laughed, delighted with himself. They settled it between them without even asking me. For fuck's sake, I wouldn't be able to refuse. For most, this would be heaven's gift. For me, not. Of course. Thank you in advance, Your Majesty, I said, forcing a smile. This is all her fault. Her ploy. I underestimated her. I turned to her, composed, dignified as ever, and spoke through clenched teeth. How about it? Are you happy now, honey? Amber's POV. I hadn't expected it to go this way either. Ryan's tone was so full of anger, I thought he'd tear me apart on the spot. But it seemed I'd found some leverage. He didn't dare slight me in front of the Alpha King. On the surface, we were a loving couple, and that was a godsend. I pasted on a bright, happy smile and said, Of course, it's our honor. It's all thanks to you, honey. His breath hitched at the transgressive name. I felt the rage spike in him. Nice. Whatever it took, at least I'd won a round. The king and his wife seemed pleased, the whole meal wrapped in a cozy picture of harmony, at least to anyone watching. After the meal, when the Alpha King and his wife left, Ryan disappeared. I slipped back to the kitchens to tell the Omegas how much everyone had loved the food we'd made together. Despite their protests, I helped clear the dishes and put everything back in order before heading for my room. I didn't make it that far. A hand clamped around my wrist, iron tight, and yanked me in the opposite direction. "Wait, what are you doing? Let go of me." I twisted against the grip. When my senses caught up and I saw broad shoulders and furious eyes, my stomach dropped. "Ryan." "I hope you're fucking pleased with your achievements today," he hissed, dragging me forward and shoving me through a doorway into a room as welcoming as his personality. "What are you talking about? I tried to help you." "Don't fucking lie to me, Amber," he roared. I flinched more from the volume than fear. "You don't think I haven't met thousands of women like you? Beautiful, kind, caring on the surface, rotten underneath? You made your intentions clear tonight." His fury lashed across me. He leaned into my space, voice rising, trying to make me small. This wasn't new to me. I wasn't scared, but that didn't make it any nicer. "Ryan, you've misunderstood me completely. I only wanted to raise your image with the Alpha King. Everyone knows how highly he holds the mate bond and how he favors those who stand by their mates. I just wanted to help, I swear." He stared at me, ice, emotionless. The sneer that curled his mouth told me he didn't believe a word. "Do you take me for a fool?" he growled, advancing, menace rolling off him. I backed up until the wall pressed between my shoulder blades. Nowhere to go. "Did you really think a grand wedding would change anything between us? You mean nothing to me? You will never be more than a slave to this pack. Am I clear?" I shoved his hand off me. Sure, helping in the kitchen had been unexpected, but I did want things to be better for myself here. Since Alpha Ryan saw me as a calculating bitch, there was no point playing innocent to earn his sympathy. I met his eyes. "You're right, I'm looking out for myself. If you offend the Alpha King, I'll be punished too. I'm not ready to die yet. But the wedding, that was beyond my plans." He snorted, cold and dismissive. "Secondly, I pressed on. You've seen my value, so I want one thing from you." "What is it?" he said, flat. "I accept my status as a slave. I don't expect that to change, but promise me this, when I face bullying, like today, you don't intervene or make it worse." Ryan's mouth curled. "You're as cunning as your father, always ready to seize an opportunity, aren't you?" Would he agree? The Alpha King clearly favored him. Yes, I'd helped his image, but the king needed Ryan more than me. If Ryan told him I died in an accident and the wedding couldn't happen, I doubted the king would object. His next words stunned me. "As you wish. 3 months from now, we'll have the wedding." I stared, speechless. He didn't give me time to ask why. He slammed the door in my face again. "Maybe our mate will eventually accept us," Ray murmured. "No," I told her. When we first arrived, his disgust was real. I still couldn't understand why he was so resistant. Maybe because my father forced him to marry me? You'd think he'd at least want to sleep with us with his fetish for collecting wives. Why else marry 6 brides? But his disgust for me went beyond anything I could make sense of. He even wanted to kill us when he learned we were his mates. The problem had to be my father. This ran deeper than I realized. The only thing I could do was find out everything I could about the rivalry between Ryan and my father, Luke. It wouldn't be easy, but I had no other choice. Ryan's POV. If she's proved herself vastly different from what you were led to believe, you should at least consider accepting her as your mate, my wolf hissed, anger humming under his words. He'd never approved of how I treated Amber. He was convinced my hatred for her father had tainted my view of her. "Do you really think the apple falls far from the tree?" I snapped. This is a ploy, greed, pure and simple. She'll take what she can for her father and leave us in ruins. Her unshed tears, she tried to hide them badly, just proved I was right. She deliberately used Andrew and his wife's influence to force the issue and become my legal wife and Luna. Well, you could have refused, yet you still agreed to the wedding, didn't you? My wolf shot back, disgusted. Shut up. You know I can't refuse the Alpha King, I said, grabbing the nearest excuse. He didn't buy it. Neither did I, if I was honest. Was it the pull of the mate bond? Something else? One thing nagged at me. When I threatened her father, she didn't defend him. If you think this will change anything, you're dreaming. Don't ever pull something like this again, or I'll seek retribution against the person you care about most. Your father will pay for your mistakes with his life. She just nodded, quiet. I stepped aside, told her to get out, slipped past me without a word. What's the matter with you now? My wolf snapped as I paced. Why didn't she beg me to leave her father alone? You want her to beg for your mercy? Is that it? Fucking depraved. No, I bit out. I've heard how close they are, so why doesn't she seem to care? Does it matter? You don't give a flying fuck about your mate's well-being, so why care about this? Something isn't right. He muttered something about my attitude not being right. I shut him out and mind-linked my beta. Is everything okay, Alpha? Tom's calm voice came through. I'm not sure. Look into the Scarlet Pack. Something's off. It will be done, Alpha. I closed the link and sat on the edge of the bed, weary. Sleep wouldn't come. The thoughts kept circling tighter and tighter. I gave up and headed for the safety of my office. You should see the doctor. Get something to help you sleep. Shut up. I don't need a pill to knock me out. I don't know how long I worked, eyes skimming documents, when a piercing scream tore through the quiet and my wolf exploded. Ryan, fuck. Don't sit there. Save her. What are you talking about? I was already on my feet, chair clattering to the floor. Mate, Amber, she's in danger. Go? Adrenaline hit like fire. I ran. The door splintered under my boot, hinges screaming, and crashed inward. Not what I expected. A single she-wolf thrashed in tangled sheets, fighting to free herself, eyes wild enough to freeze my blood. In a heartbeat she launched, airborne straight at me, murder blazing in her gaze. The scent hit me, Amber, my mate, my Amber, and she wanted to kill me. No hesitation. Hatred burned in her eyes, real, raw. I moved to dodge, too slow, and white-hot pain flared along my arm. Blood hit the air, metallic and thick. My vision washed red. I surged forward, tackling her, hand closing at her throat. Stop, Amber. It's me, Ryan. Us. Amber's POV. I was trapped with nowhere to go. The chains biting into my wrists tightened as they forced themselves on me again and again. Cry for us, you worthless whore. This is the only love you'll ever know. You don't deserve more than this. You should be grateful we want to take you so deep. That's it, baby. Scream for us. I could hear Ray calling my name, faint and distant, but the words blurred. My mind shut down, sealing itself off from the pain to survive. The more I struggled, the harder they pressed in. I screamed silently, refusing to give them my voice the way they wanted it. Then the nightmare shattered. The faces dissolved and Ryan's face loomed over me. Was he responsible? Did he put them up to it? In my sleep-fogged brain, he was the mastermind. Before I could think, I let Ray surge forward. We shifted, fur, fangs, fury, and launched ourselves at the bastard who should have loved us, protected us, not helped defile us. Amber, wait. I didn't let him finish. I snapped wildly, desperate to keep us safe from whatever he'd try next, but even in his human form, he was stronger. After a brief, brutal scuffle, he pinned me. Ray whimpered and retreated, leaving me gasping, human again, beneath him. What the fuck was that? Ryan panted, his breath hot against my face as my chest heaved under his weight. The truth hit me like a brick. I'd attacked Ryan over a nightmare. Shame surged hot through me. I forced myself to meet his eyes, expecting the usual loathing, but he wasn't looking at my face. His gaze tracked lower, and when I followed it, I froze. I was completely naked. The way he looked at me made my stomach flip and my heart race out of control. His eyes had darkened with desire while I struggled beneath him. He held my wrists above my head, unyielding, as if he could pin the world there. "Let me go, Ryan. Don't do this," I shouted. His unfocused eyes roamed my body, lingering at my breasts. He licked his lips, hungry. "Ryan, please," the word scraped out as his gaze lifted, settling on my mouth. He didn't seem to hear me. He leaned in, eyes heavy with need. I tried to twist free, but his grip didn't budge. My resolve wavered. The mate bond tugged, low, dangerous, seductive, right as Tom and Jack burst through the doorway. "Alpha, what's going on is, oh." My mouth opened on instinct. A piercing scream ripped free. I didn't want them to see me like this, bare, exposed. Dignity was the last thing I had left, and suddenly it felt gone. Ryan's POV. I snarled, head snapping toward Tom and Jack with a promise of blood. Without thinking, I lowered my body, shielding Amber completely. She was mine. Her body was mine, and I would gut anyone who dared look at her naked. "Get out!" I roared. The air itself seemed to vibrate. "Our apologies, Alpha. We'll leave you two to it," they stammered, backing out fast. Amber trembled beneath me. It took everything I had to shove back the savage urge to take her, to lose myself in her hard and deep, and fill her with as many pups as I could give. I slammed a wall between me and my wolf, shrugged off my jacket, and tossed it over her. "Fucking cover yourself," I snarled, wrestling my own damn thoughts. I didn't lose control. Not with women. Not ever. I called Amber greedy and self-serving, yet here I was, fantasizing about taking her, claiming her as mine. Where the fuck had that come from? I felt nothing for Amber, so why should I care if someone saw her naked? Why the hell was she suddenly all I could think about? Had she really slipped under my skin this easily? "Ryan, your arm, it's bleeding." Her small voice cut through my thoughts, followed by a sharp breath. I glanced down. She was right. Blood tracked along my forearm. She reached for the wound. I jerked away, covering it with my hand, meeting her eyes for a beat. "It's nothing. Don't worry about it." Her wolf must have gotten her teeth into me during the scuffle. The fact that she'd marked me at all sparked a strange, unwelcome pulse of pride. I shoved it aside and took in the room. "The Omegas let you have this room?" I asked, casual on the surface. She nodded, quiet, curling into herself. Winning the Alpha King's favor had clearly shifted things for her, still sparse but bigger than the usual Omega bunks. "Are you going to tell me what happened, Amber?" I kept my tone even, careful not to show the curiosity or the concern I had no right to feel. She's a slave. I have no reason to care. Well, it was nothing. Just a dream, that's all." She scurried to the bed, arms wrapped tight around herself. "You don't want to tell me?" Irritation flared when she kept what I wanted to know. "No, it's not that," she said, tucking a strand of hair behind her ear. "I'm sorry I bothered you. It won't happen again. I promise." I watched her in silence as frustration climbed, hot and sharp, enough to make me want to put my fist through the wall just to bleed it out. Amber, don't mistake this for me caring about you, I said with a sneer, words I didn't fully believe even as I spoke them. But you attacked your alpha. I have to file a report. She finally looked up, fear wide in her eyes. A ripple of satisfaction slid through me at the small victory. You know as well as I do, attacking an alpha is punishable by death. It could start a war between packs. The Scarlet Pack is no match for me. Are you willing to accept that punishment with no explanation, or are you going to defend your actions? Just answer me, tell me the truth, and I'll forget it. I bit down on the thought. She dropped her gaze, cutting the connection, leaving a hollow where her attention had been. She's hiding something. She's nothing like the Luke's daughter I knew. Fine. Since you're not talking, you'll stay in a cell. There are ways to get the truth there. I opened the mind link. Tom, come take the Scarlet Pack woman to the cells. Now. Let's see how long you last.